following program on Derana 24 is classified for general audience. It is intended for all ages. It contains little or no violence, no strong language, and little or no sexual dialogue or situations. We would like to remind our viewers that the views expressed in this program by our participating guests are solely viewpoints of them who take part, and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network.
Welcome down to Gen XYZ right here on Derana 24. Well, today we bring to you something very, very interesting. We're talking about a school that is going to be making you the future leader, well, of climate change. We're talking about many other issues as well when it comes to gender equality and so much more. Well, today we're bringing to you something very, very interesting. With a group of individuals, by the way, we're joining in with Ashan Pereira, who is the founder of Road to Rights and G17 as well, along with Shamima, who is obviously the initial chairperson for G17, who is joining us today as well, right in the corner there, as you can see. We've also got Navira, who is the Climate Action Council head of the Road of Rights, who's sitting right here as well on my left, along with Nikesh, who is right there, by the way. He's sitting there for a G17 fellow for 2014, along with 2015, along with Shashra. That's right. Did I pronounce it right? Shashra. All right, super. For G17, a fellow of 2014 and 2025. Well, this is actually a very interesting initiation in Sri Lanka that's been taking place for a very long time, by the way, since the 90s. And now it's actually grown into a global platform. Well, what exactly is it? So for that, we've got Ashan right there, who is the founder of this organization, the council as well, telling us exactly how he started it. So just tell us how the story started. Now, we were standing there before, the recording as well, and you told me you were a child, you saw two individuals who didn't go to school, and how you actually came up with this concept. Tell us what it is.
Yeah, so back in 1998, we met these three kids who couldn't go to school. They lived next door. So we realized that how we can actually help these kids to get educated just like we go to school. So that is where, together with my siblings, we set up a playhouse in the backyard of my house. So after each and every single day from school, we did not go home. We first went to the playhouse. So we left our school bags inside of it. We invite those three kids to play with us and study together with our books. So that is how we started our kids society back in 1998, called United Children's Club. So then the community around noticed how we were doing, and we had a nice kids board called United Children's Club and all of that, and they wanted to make it bigger. So the many kids joined our club, and initially it was one of the most activated kids society, and then later on it turned into a youth organization, and today we have about 30,000 volunteers all across the country championing United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, working with universities across the country, and more importantly, we were able to go to the global stage. Today we are also operating in 34 other different countries as well. So we had this inspiration like, if we can't take Sri Lanka to the world, let's bring the world back to the country. And we are so proud that something we started backyard of my house today in the global level, championing young people across the region. So that is how we simply started. Just want to help three kids who could not go to school, and it became a movement just like today.
All right, that sounds very, very interesting actually, because usually we'd have, not looking at what the neighbors go through. We just look at ourselves and this is our life. We're very luxurious and we're just doing our school little life, and you actually did this. So congratulations on that. I saw a couple of images as well that you actually had, of you standing on stage, giving speeches and everything at a very young age. So you did this entire thing, right? And my question for you is, it's very easy for a lot of people to say, hey, okay, school, this is what we do, this is what I want to do. But in terms of funding, that's a big problem, right? How did you find the passion? How did you find the funding, especially being very young and starting this entire thing, to grow out to be what it is today?
Yeah, I think the specialty of the Road to Rights, our organization, we are driven by volunteerism and volunteer power. And even when it's come to the operation locally and globally, 80% of our work led by passionate young people and their professional contribution. So what I noticed throughout my journey, if you're genuinely passionate about what you want to do, and if you're very clear about how you want to do what you want to do, there will be so many people who would come along the way to you. So I think when I started back then, luckily I had pictures my parents have captured, so I can prove this is how we started. And then today I have so many like neighbors, my aunties and uncles, and the ones I have never seen in my life, they are the ones who are actually behind me and the driving force. And today we work with multiple, of course, corporate entities, international agencies. That is whole different level of bringing resources and funding now. But mostly it's about well-wishers and then people who really do believe in us. So what I realized was, like I mentioned, if you are so clear about what you want to do and your purpose, and they would recognize you. I think all of these people would give you the proof of it. I think that's how it went so
from
far.
that. Yeah, wonderful. Now, I know on this particular panel today that we're actually conversing, we have right on the right there, she did not want to join today's program, but she's on board because she's a pillar into this entire program as well. So first of all, I want to ask you, I think you know all of the back end of things as well when it comes to this, right? Yeah. It's not a very easy game, being a secretary, getting all of the data, making sure things run smoothly as well. How have you balanced that along with your normal life that you have as well that's going on in terms of, work and whatnot?
Okay, actually that's a very, I think, interesting question. Actually, I started G70. I joined Road to Rights when I was just, I think, 22 years old. So by then, actually, I didn't know any of these administrative work. I had zero knowledge about it. But G17, the platform that was created by Mr. Ashan, it actually pushed us to, research, do more research and do things by ourselves, right? So then he did a lot of great mentorship to us, because with his, years of experience and all that. And then I was in my, I think, third year. It was third year of my university. It was very hectic and all that, but still, like you asked,
what was the field that you studied in?
My degree was in, it was teaching English as a second language.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So then, with the internship and all that, so I think balancing was like this, and we started when it was the COVID time. So yeah, and then it was, sometimes like we had a team actually. It was not only myself. We had a great executive committee, and we were, I think, 11 people in the team. And it was all about, delegating the work and getting things done. So when, one person is not available, because, this is an undergraduate program and everyone is busy with the academics and all that, right? So it's all about, teamwork, how you manage things. And when it comes to balancing stuff and how we, work, it's all about, monitoring and evaluation and also mentorship when it comes to the executive committee level. So we actually, use a lot of online tools like Excel sheets and all that to monitor the performances of our ambassadors, like we'll, discuss in, during this program, like how it works and all that. But in brief, it's all about, teamwork and all that, but we allocated some time, 2 or 3 hours a day to dedicate ourselves for the work of G17. So that's how we actually balance with our academics.
All right, I think you guys have done a fantastic job, taking it globally as well. That's not very easy, and this is an initiation that started in 1998? 1998, okay, before I was born. But it's absolutely incredible, the journey that you guys have actually taken as well. Now, I think you come from hands-on experience in terms of getting to know this as well, right? For you personally, how did it become when it comes to G17 and the Road to Right as well? How was it for you personally, with your university journey and so forth?
So I should say that at the very beginning when I started this, I had no clue what's happening. So this all started with a casual random post that I saw in my faculty announcement group. So I wanted to see what was happening there. I mean, what grabbed my attention was G17 ambassador. So I wanted to go
Don't
for
worry,
it.
they played around the word.
Yes, played around the word, and that grabbed my attention. So I wanted to go for it and see what's happening. And so we had to select our own goals as well. So what I selected was goal number 5. 5, that is gender equality. And luckily I got that. I got into that as well. So it was pretty much difficult at the beginning because I didn't know how to manage work. I didn't know how to balance work, balance my academics as well as this work, because this was a huge experience for me. But I did it, and here I am with a lot of experiences like about leadership and time management and how to work in tight schedules and every sort of thing. So I think this is a fantastic journey. If someone wants to go for it, just go for it.
All right. Okay. Now, the segment that you chose was gender equality.
Yes.
How did you find that? Like, what was the impact that you made so far?
Yeah, so about gender equality, so we have to do a project, basically. So that's how it goes. So in my project, we had 2 phases. So the phase 1 was sharing 90 seconds videos all over the university context as well as around Sri Lanka. So we had good impressions in that as well. So the second phase was to have an online competition. It was an essay competition, which I had 2 categories. Because my opinion was that I wanted to touch all the parties here. For example, like the school category as well as the open category. So the school category I had from grade 9 to grade 13, whereas the open category was university undergraduates and so on.
Okay.
So we had good responses from everyone, and we had a separate panel of judges to get the things done as well. So the impact that I had was I was able to give the idea of what gender equality should be in, let's say, for example, in workplace or else in societal context or else the legal framework behind gender equality, how this is for women as well as to the girls around Sri Lanka as well as in the entire world. So this was done to address issues locally, and I think I was able to do it.
Okay. So in your opinion, just out of context actually, to just understand exactly what it is, right? In Sri Lanka, what was the major problem when it comes to gender equality? Do we have it? Do we not have it? What is the major one there?
So, okay, so when it comes to gender equality in Sri Lanka, I would say it's like a glass ceiling. Like,
why do you say it's a glass ceiling?
it is, people say it's there, but it's not. So for example, when it comes to the workplace harassments, so they get harassed just because they're women. Okay, for example, let's say you have a position and your skills are just the same as one man who is there, but you might get less paid just because of the fact that you are a woman. Just because of the fact that you're a lady, and it should not be done. And as well as in some schools, some universities, you wouldn't be able to get the opportunity to do something, let's say to be the president of a club, just because you're a girl, just because they think you don't have the potential, just because they think that she would not be able to handle it, because there are going to be boys around it. So because of that, I think it's not there. People say it is there, but I have experienced as well, sometimes it's going to be a bit difficult to deal with people when we see it is not there.
Okay, so they're saying it's not there, but you think it's there, and you witness it. 100%. I agree with that. Not gonna lie, that's definitely there in Sri Lanka. I think globally as well, but to an extent in Sri Lanka, it's a little bit of a magnitude that's there. But that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of the parents that say, "Hey, don't go out there. Girls, stick around at home. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't go do anything dangerous," because it's the reality, right? Don't go out in the night. It's still happening in Sri Lanka, which is sad. I want to pivot a little bit in terms of this way as well, because I think they have actually spoken. That was one aspect that you mentioned, right? So that's a project that you did, successfully done. Congratulations on that. So here we also have someone who actually did it I think in 2020 is when you took off, right?
Yes, I was primarily a cluster head, so that
Right.
my role would be to advise the ambassadors rather than be the ambassador essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
And now she is actually working. She's really working, and she's a working professional as well, that she's actually gathered all of these knowledge and whatnot. So now what I want to know specifically, because I think a lot of the youth members are going to want to know this as well, right? They're going to hear this, they're going to oh, okay, this is interesting. How can I be a part of it, right? And what's the guidance I'm going to get from it? How much of time do I have to segregate, specifically now that it's actually grown globally? So what is that aspect of things?
So to start off with, as like a first point would be when I joined Road to Rights, or when I took this position of cluster head for G17, that was the very inception of G17 itself. So it was a very interesting year because it was the pandemic, and then it was also setting out our name and establishing ourselves. So of course, from the get-go itself, I would say being part of this fellowship requires a significant amount of drive. not because of, say, like there's a lot of work to do, but also because you are balancing it along with your other responsibilities, because it's primarily catered towards undergraduates, right? So in that context, if you are interested in something like this, you essentially need to be someone who's driven, first of all, and most possibly have that passion towards driving some form of change, particularly the goal that you are going to be representing or becoming the ambassador of. So if you essentially want to be part of this, you would have to allocate, I would say, certain number of hours during the week for it. Particularly, you have to invest a lot of time for your own project, because that is your way of saying, I have contributed towards this goal, and most importantly, made that goal relevant in Sri Lanka. Because I would say, when you look at the 17 goals, you may have heard, okay, there is something called the Sustainable Development Goals. You may have heard the titles of these goals, but for you, it could be alien. And that's okay. You're not expected to become an expert of it the moment you hear about this program. The expectation is for you to actually be interested by the name of the goal itself, and throughout your fellowship, be very interested in it to understand what this goal is, understand what are the targets of these goals. Because in like a very oval area view, you might think there are so many ways that these goals can clash with each other. For example, it could be something as simple as life on land, which could clash with something like climate change. How would those two interject? So understanding what are those nuances, what are the targets you need to hit, understanding how is this relevant to Sri Lanka, understanding how can you contribute towards it. It could be something as simple as looking at community level, looking at how you can help your own neighborhood, or you can just look at helping out your peers, helping out or trying to even engage policy. It's up to you. The best part is that you have the complete freedom to pitch out your idea, and we would help you to execute it. Whether it's to put you in contact with someone who has the expertise on that area, whether it's to help out with in terms of getting an expert resource person for your specific project. So I would say this fellowship gives you the right resources, an opportunity to not just pitch your idea, but to actually have a real shot at executing it. It could be a one-time project, but if you are in fact driven, it could continue on and go beyond your fellowship as well. So definitely, I would say it goes a lot with your passion towards your goal. And as the expectation is, you would have to invest a significant amount of time for this. Not just towards your own project, but there are other stuff as well that would happen during your fellowship, like educational sessions that would happen in, other skill-based sessions that you would have to take part in, whether it's writing a certain article or whatnot. And of course, you're building certain skills, like for example, how do you do a project report? How do you do a project proposal? So real skills that would help you, particularly if you're interested in the development sector, but even if you're not and you're interested in the corporate sector, these are real skills that you'll be implementing in your life. So a great opportunity for anyone who is looking at skill-based programs and someone who really wants a shot at executing their passion and a goal they have in mind.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. And there you go. There you have it. That is giving you a little bit of an insight exactly to what this entire role actually caters to, as well as an ambassador. Now, one thing that I actually want to talk to is in terms of, well, the country chairperson of this particular thing. This is Nikesh. We'll talk a little bit more on the other side, but until then, this is a little bit of a different taste on Gen XYZ. Until then, jumping into a short commercial break. Welcome back to Gen XYZ, where we're in conversation with beautiful individuals, by the way. They've actually created sort of like a school for you to be a future leader. Well, what exactly is this? That's exactly why we're actually talking to you about this as well. If you are interested in being an ambassador to Sri Lanka, to the world, as a game changer, as a future leader, well, this is definitely the program. And what it is G17. I've never heard this actually, and that's exactly why we've actually got these guys to come on board. And on that side, right there, we've actually got who's the chairperson of this entire thing. So now, G17, I know it sounds very interesting. It's very cool. It sounds global. It's like, oh, it's very important. Right? It's something to do with, policy making and so much more. But in simple terms, someone who's watching it right now as well, probably going to university, what is G17?
So yes. So basically, G17 is based on United Nations SDG goals. So most of you all know, like there are 17 SDG goals. So based on that, we have designed this global fellowship program. So then an undergraduate is getting the opportunity to be a part of this global fellowship program. So what he can do is, there are main 5 tasks that he or she need to do. So doing these tasks, we will ensure that the undergraduate will be a better person with a good leadership, with good capabilities and all. So this is kind of a basic structure of G17 Sri Lanka, and this is a global fellowship. So it's not actually a club or a society which you refer to in your university or wherever. So basically, G17 is a place to you to build yourself, to bring out the potential that's inside you to the external world. So simply, that's the G17.
Okay, and what are specifically the goals of this? Because I think anyone that's coming on board to be a part of it as well, what are the goals?
So basically there are 17 SDG goals, starting from no poverty, there's gender equality as she mentioned, and we have clean water and sanitization, decent work and economic growth, which was my SDG goal when I was an university ambassador. So there are 17 SDG goals. So we give the undergraduates an opportunity to select on their passion and on their interest a particular SDG, so then they can do their own projects and the G17 fellowship program with the progress. So doing this, starting the fellowship by selecting an unknown SDG, and will make that person to be like the best person who knows about that SDG at the end of this global fellowship program. So it might be the specific study area that you are studying in. And there are in some instances that ambassadors apply for SDGs, which is like, let's say an undergraduate who is like doing his diploma or degree in commerce stream. So he's applying, okay, I'm in commerce stream, or I'll need economy and stuff. So I'll prefer to do with goal number 8, which is decent work and economic growth. But sometimes there might be another person who has applied for that position, and we give that opportunity for him. But that other person who lost that opportunity to be the part of the goal number 8, but we may think, and we may, as the executive committee, we will refer his CV and we see, okay, this person has applied for goal number 8, but we see his potential in quality education as well. So this person is getting an extra challenge. Okay, he's not comfortable with the SDG, but at the end of the program, he will be very much confident in that SDG more than the where his specific area is. So this is a place where you can bring out your fullest potential. So I'm pretty sure if an ambassador starts his journey as a fellow and ends as a fellow, so he will be in the next level position at the end of the program.
Okay. Now, Nikesh, I think something that I wanted to pick up on is in terms of you mentioning, hey, this goal is number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3. But is this bringing awareness to Sri Lanka, bringing awareness to other people as well, saying that, hey, these are global problems that's actually taking place, specifically in the nation as well, Sri Lanka? Is that what you're doing, or are you like really doing a project where it really, sort of brings down the level of, poverty, brings down the level of gender equality? Are these the factors, or is it just bringing awareness?
So yeah, basically what it does is, it's simply like this. There are 5 main tasks to do. So the first task is like doing his or her own project. So in that particular segment, what we expect is to identify a kind of an issue in the society. So let's say clean water and sanitization. So we know in Sri Lanka also there are a lot of problems with clean water and sanitization. So that particular ambassador can think and work with his fellow ambassadors and his coordinator, and then what he or she can do is he can think on a problem. So what he can do to prevent this polluting of water and bring this clean water and sanitization. So like that, every ambassador can think on a project that which is a current problem here in the country, and do a project to that. And the second segment is the annual article. So in there, he or she can do a case study specifically on that particular goal in the country. So then in that case study, he or she need to read books and use AI tools and whatever, and do lot of study on that, and he need to publish that article. And also there is a speech to do. So doing a speech, it's really hard for a person if he's very new to this system. So basically what we expect in that speech is basically he make sure that he's confident in what he's talking, and he brings out his potential and speak to whole world about what is this goal and what is the problems and what is he's trying to make an impact. What's the impact that he's trying to make? So that is doing that. And also he can collaborate with his fellow ambassadors and do group project as well. And also he can do, as a university, they can do the 2030 forum, which is doing collaboration with the university and external organizations, and then he or she can invite the vice chancellor, deans of the respected university, and any SDG related advocacy in the country, and he can do that session in a very nice way. He or she can do with collaboration with the fellow ambassador, which empowers the teamwork, because we know in the country the teamwork is lacking because all the people are like doing their things on, and they are not like familiar with the teamwork strategies. And also there's a particular segment called Meet the Vice Chancellor, which is make this G70 University Ambassador Consortium Sri Lanka is a very formal in context, because you need to get that willpower and go and meet the Vice Chancellor and book an appointment and tell him and explain him what are the things that you have do to impact this world on your projects and all the things that you've done throughout the fellowship program. So basically doing these five tasks, this ambassador or the coordinator will be getting the maximum out of this program, and then they will be being one of the best undergraduates, will be shining in the university, and they will be getting a lot of benefits through this.
All right, very interesting. I think I'm going to bounce off to her with that particular thing, because I think doing all of these projects is not a very easy thing, right? How do you find the funding for it? Because no matter what it is, all of these projects, whether it's volunteer, whatever it is, right? Because I could be volunteering, but there are other factors that are counted in as well. Transport, it's going to cost for food, it's going to cost for this particular pipe that's going to help this water solution. Funding. How does this process work?
So if you look at the process of funding with the ambassador's own project, there you don't necessarily have a direct connection with the organization. In the sense, we are not going to be like, okay, you do the project and don't worry for funding, we'll make sure you get it. So the primary task of getting the funding itself is the ambassador themselves as well. And that's the whole point of doing that activity of doing the project proposal. So you get the cost benefit analysis done in, and then you make an effort to actually find out how can you get this costing done. If it's for printing, for example, do you know any contacts for printing, and finding out someone for that. So I wouldn't say we are an organization that have the funding from the get-go. That unfortunately is not the case. If that was, we could do even
bigger things. Yeah.
So unfortunately, while funding will always be an issue for our end, like I connected way before with the point on your passion and your drive. Your passion and your drive, if there is a will, there is a way. With that mindset on, most ambassadors have managed to fund their own projects. And the expectation is not to go big or go small, right? The expectation is to do a project where you feel like there is some form of impact. So in that process, it doesn't have to be an activity where you need to spend so much of money as well. For example, if you want to have some form of workshop, you could get a community center booked, and you could host that session there itself. And if that's the case, there is no funding involved, because you would limit it to 30 minutes, 40 minutes and whatnot. So yeah, the funding would be based on the ambassador themselves, and they would utilize it smartly to figure out how they can still proceed with their project.
Okay. All right, that sounds very, very interesting. Now, I think a little bit of a billion-dollar question, if I would put it that way, is heading towards her, right? Now, she's obviously still a youth member, and she's still very much active in this project as well. So now, what I want to ask you is, from what he mentioned, there is like multiple different, goals. And at the end of the day, these goals are actually big, major problems in the country and in the world. According to you, in Sri Lanka, what do you think is the biggest, most concerning problem that needs to be, a goal orientation for everyone to work on?
Education.
Education.
Yes, I think it's very low. So when it comes to education, let's say for example we cannot even say this is in suburbs as well as the rural areas. Even in suburbs we have schools where they might not have infrastructure, proper infrastructure in schools. So with this infrastructure problem and with lack of teachers, lack of resources and everything, education has become a problem, and as a result of that there are many reasons for that. So as a result of that, students they drop off from schools at a very young age, and they tend to do different things. Like let's say for example they might get addicted to some things, or else they might just drop out of school because of economic problems that they have.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off here,
Yes,
because
yes.
what you're saying is very contradictory for me right now. Okay, the reason is because Sri Lanka, as a developing country, we actually have one of the highest literacy rates. Very, very high. Yes, resources wise we don't really have it as much, but we actually have that. Then again, if you take the economical context of things, we have people that are very well established, very well educated, probably has masters at a very young age, has a PhD, but then again they can't necessarily find themselves working or whatnot. I don't think it's an educational thing, isn't it? It's more to do with an economical thing. So what is your take on this? Do you think still education is the big problem here?
Okay, so education has to do something with that as well. So because, okay, so let's say like this. So how many of the people who would do A-levels get selected to the university?
Many.
It's only 40,000.
That's a lot.
No, that's not a lot.
Considering the country as a whole, yes, that is quite a lot. Then again, we do have issues when it comes to, higher education, 100%. But that's again a choice of that person making it. It's not necessarily, okay, no, this is not the choice, this is not the choice. We have so many private educations as well. You yourself is going to private education, that there's affordable private education as well. That person can actually invest and go and study, get the higher education. So do you really think that is the curtail of things when you consider it, okay, that's the burst of, that's the problem. Or do you think there's a different goal that we need to focus on? And do you think it's a big thing for Sri Lanka?
So, all right. So when you focus on that, there comes the economy as well. Right? So because what I'm telling is, so let's say for example, I told earlier that only 40,000 plus students will be getting selected to the university, right? But again, if someone is willing to go for like private education, there is going to be this economic hit. So they might not be able to do a degree, do their higher education because of the economic problems that they have. Even to go for a loan, there are like so many requirements for them to fill up with. And I'm just going back to the government education section again, because I feel like the infrastructure in Sri Lanka, let's say in government universities, are very less. Because of that, they have to go for like private education, as well as sometimes they have to just stop right after A-levels, right after O-levels. Because why? Because they have the willingness to learn, but there is going to be this other problem which strikes upon them, and as a result of that, they might be ended up in a total different place.
So I think the major problem from what you mentioned is the economical base of things. I don't think it's the goal of education, because at the end of the day it's the economy, and that is a part of a sector that you have, right, as a goal. So according to certain things, I'm going to pivot that question to Ashan, because he is more of the founder here and knows all of the nitty-gritties. Economy, like she mentioned, right, a youth member. Economy is the big problem when you think about it. It's not the education, it's not any other factors. Majorly, when you think, that's the big problem in Sri Lanka. What do you think is a good solution? What do you think your ambassadors right now that you actually have in your G17, what do you think they're the ones who actually what are these projects that you think can actually elevate the situation to be why, and people to have a better life, students to have a better future, and so much more?
Yeah, I think adding into what even she said with education, I still see the connection with education and the economy. Because if you look at Sri Lanka with education, or even if you look at education in general, it's about knowledge, skills, and attitudes. In our system, it's always about knowledge, knowledge, and knowledge, and knowledge, not really the skills and the attitudes. And if you really look at the champions in the world, they have the attitudes first, then that attitudes lead you to build your competencies and the skills, and then if you lack in knowledge, you grab that knowledge. We do the other way around, stuck in the first component, knowledge, 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 and knowledge. So that's why sometimes we know all the problems in Sri Lanka. Sometimes we know all the solution for those problems. but nothing is getting it done in the grassroots level. So I think we need to fix that. So that is why we realized that even working as an organization as Road to Rise, we have been doing multiple projects, 1,000+ awareness campaigns, and we are still waiting for a change to happen. And that's not really happening. So then we realized that if you really want to change the world or our country, we need to change the way how we lead our governments and industries. How do we do that? Change the people inside those industries and government. So we try to collaborate with them, like intergenerational dialogue. That was not easy. So then we thought of, if we tap the undergraduates in Sri Lanka, who are going to be the future potential young professionals, when they finish their degree, when they are getting into their industries, they have the better attitudes, better skills, and good set of knowledge to drive change, influencing their seniors. So that is the gap that we want to address. So if we really want to change how our economy is actually leading, we really need to fuel up these undergraduates who are going to be the future potential young professionals. If we don't do that, just giving a degree, master, PhD, that would never change this country. Because we have seen when we interview people, we have so many first-class degree holders. They cannot think of an idea to implement, or they are struggling to convert ideas into action. So that is why in our program, so we select only 17 young people to become ambassadors. Only 17 out of maybe 10,000+ students. Very competitive.
From 10,000 to 17?
Just 17. If you look at university, local universities, it's just 17. It's competitive. So you need, only thing that we are looking at, your passion and the commitment. So if you are passionate, if you are committed, we will challenge you. Now you have to do a project. How do you do a project? You are so stressed out. How do you find resources? You are so stressed out. But we get them to complete that journey. So the moment you complete your journey, you'll be like, wow, I never thought I had that potential. Now, people who build such a potential inside of you would become true change makers. They'll get into our agriculture. They'll ideate the future of agriculture in Sri Lanka with AI, with technology, all of that. They might get into the legal industry, legal space. But how we do fight for our cases, bringing justice would be a whole different scenario when people like that get into the legal space. Same with the medical students. So that is how we really want to do, and we believe that when we have such young people who really bring their inner potential out, convert into action, by 2030, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, that is where we would see the true change of this country. Otherwise, you have all these undergraduates and they'll finish their degree, half of them go to the government. When they don't have the skill, government is not really functioning. Meaning that it's like, when the heart is not pumping enough, our body is not really working. The government is more like the heart. So when our undergraduates are finishing 4-year degree with no right attitudes, with no right skill, going into the government, when that is not really pumping, this country is not really working. And the half of the undergraduates would go to the corporate sector, maybe they are struggling. So that is what we really want to change. And I believe if you fix that gap, we would find a solution. So that's innovation for the country, creativity for the country, reshaping the industries and all of that, I believe.
All right, Ashna, I think you really hit it in the nail there. That's exactly what I wanted to check and ask you, actually, because when you consider it in Sri Lanka and in general as well, you take the local education, there is very good education. There are very skilled and very, very educated individuals in the country, right? Maybe not skill, but education. There are people with, doctorates and everything, but the second you ask them, okay, do an operation or do this, okay, take this task, no idea, right? That's the major problem, and I think you're really resolving that entire thing with this entire program. Something I wanted to ask you is in terms of, when you consider all of these factors, right? You're basically saying that you're creating a different school, a different ecosystem, a different school system for anyone that's actually an undergraduate to relearn, rewire their minds and really understand, hey, this part is at lack at your normal education. I'm giving it to you in terms of challenge. I'm giving it to you in terms of this mental capacity and so much more. And these are the youth, right? But the youth tend to sort of have this mindset, which I think everyone, as millennials, you name it, all the other generations are complaining. They have a complaining mindset. The youth is just complaining about every single thing. I don't want to hire this person. I don't want to do this. This whole thing, because it's like, we deserve more. I will do a little work. I deserve a lot more money for the little work that I do. Otherwise, I don't deserve it, because it's mental health, it's pressure, it's a lot of things. What do you do in terms of molding this generation of youth members? Because they are 100% going to come and tell you this. Ashan, I don't want to work too much. My mental health is at stake. I don't want to do any of this. But you give me the, the ambassador, the letter, or whatever it is that I need. I just do that and give it to me. I'm good. I'll just take that and go away. How do you mold this mindset? Because I think that's a big problem,
Yeah, I think, that's a timely question, and we see that with a lot of young people. They want to do something and get a certificate or their name on the social media. We really want to break that. How do we do that? Showing them the future. The future is so unpredictable. And we are now global. Even though we are in a little island nation, we are all interconnected. Right after COVID, we are connected than ever before. So you cannot really do something small, expect a certificate, and show that certificate to somewhere, expect a job. That won't happen in future. So if you are very clear about it, I don't think you would just want to do something little and expect so much. So I think we have changed that mindset with multiple young people with Road to Rise and G17 as well. As an example, we work with these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And these are the 17 goals that we need to achieve by 2030. Each and every single government is accountable for it. 2015, all the UN member states signed and gave it to the countries to achieve it. Now, if you look at all of these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, it captures almost all the pressing issues in the world. Now, when you put young people to learn about these pressing issues in the world, think about those issues in the local context, you think global and act local. And that opens up the door for the future. Okay, I understand the global problem. This problem may be climate change. It's different to Sri Lanka, different to Brazil,
many other countries,
different to India, but I'm sharing the same issue differently. So when you work and learn and develop those core competencies, you see the future. And then when you see the future, such a broader context, such an unpredictable context, only option that you have is be fit into the future. You cannot predict. In 80s, we predicted maybe electric cars, like in the movies we saw, we never thought that would come. And then maybe the mobile phones, they predicted
flying
you could
cars,
have it.
And now it's a reality.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, future you cannot really predict. Only thing that you can do is be fit into the future. And how do you do that? It's not about learning. I don't think you can learn about the future because it's unpredictable. Only thing that you can do is you need to be good at being resilient. We never know what's going to be the next global pandemic, right? And since, even if you look at the global politics to all of that, but if you work really hard in multidisciplinary context with all these 17 goals, all these interconnections, you are studying maybe medicine, but working on climate change, and then quality education, learning a bit more about international relations, and with some of the G17 activities, you have to use social media, AI. That's a whole different way of molding a young person. And that young person, I think, won't just go for a certificate. When you realize that my certificate would not really be the card, it's my performance and the skill. So that is more like how we show the young people to achieve something beyond than just trying to complete 1, 2, 3. So, since we have lots of programs in universities, they just want to come to us, get a certificate. So this is more like something primary we address with young people.
All right, so. Wonderful. I think that I will definitely agree when you say, we are basically creating the skillful school, rather, if I would put it that way, as opposed to the knowledge, right? And that's a very important thing, because I think youth members definitely need that in terms of molding their mindset and to be, the future leaders for that matter. So thank you once again for actually joining us as well. Well, with that, we're giving you something that is actually very interesting as youth members. If you're a student going into university, if you're still in university, or just about to actually want to be the future leader, well, this is definitely the program. Well, until then, more deeds coming your way, but this is just after a short commercial break. Welcome back to Gen XYZ right here on Other Derana 24. Well, we're in conversation about something very, very interesting. We're talking about you, the youth. What are the problems in the world? Well, these are calculated into the measurement of goals. Well, that is exactly what the G17 and the Road to Rights is actually doing. And we've got them right here as well, representatives, individuals that have actually chaired different projects as well and made the solutions out there in the country. Well, we spoke a little bit more as to why they were calling this particular thing a skillful school that you're actually going to learn out there in, for the country, for the future, for your individual future and growth as well. Well, this is exactly what we're talking about. But something I want to cover is in terms of the future aspect of things, right? For that, I've got the individual right there in the corner who refused to come on the show, by the way. But we got her on the show. Well, tell us exactly what the future is when it comes to the Road for Rights along with G17 as well.
Okay, so when it comes to Road to Rights and G17, so like all of us, in the program mentioned, so this is all about innovation, creativity, and youth empowerment. So we are actually, going to our next step, which is creating this G17 Innovation Campus. So this is actually like we mentioned, G17 is always about, transforming education. So if we are to have a good education, quality education, like Mr. Ashan also mentioned, it's about knowledge, skills, and attitudes. But in current Sri Lankan system, it's always about knowledge, and knowledge. So in this G17 Innovation Campus, so we are we are still in the ground. We are doing this groundwork, where we have our interns who will be, researching about the gaps in the current, education system, and also the curriculums and all that, not only in Sri Lanka, in global context. And we are going to come up with a very innovative and a nice modules like curriculum to actually transform individuals. So it's going to actually join our G17 Innovation Campus. So it's not only about knowledge. Definitely there will be theories and all that, but it will be like an experiential learning journey, just like G17, where they can also, put their knowledge into practice, and there will be separate, like master classes and also programs to develop their attitudes as well. So apart from that, we are actually planning on this G17 National Summit and Future Labs Expo. So this is the first time in Sri Lanka where we are going to connect the academia and the industries together. So this G17 National Summit is where we bring expert like speakers, not only from Sri Lanka, but from the global context. And we will be having like a 2 to 3 day of a summit, national summit. It's all fully about SDGs, policy changes and all that. And we'll be working with the government and also the academia in Sri Lanka and beyond, and also the corporate sector and the business sector, the industries mainly. And apart from that, we will be having the Future Labs Expo, like I mentioned, giving opportunities for the school students, young professionals and university undergraduates to find their opportunities at this place, like where they will have, opportunities to, pursue their higher education maybe, and also on the other hand, like if you're a university undergraduate or a young professional, so if you want to find your career opportunities, yes, this is the best place for you. So these are the two, things or the programs that we are planning. That's the G17 Innovation Campus and the G17 National Summit.
All right, wonderful.
Yes.
Now, I think the G17 campus that you actually mentioned as well that you're doing, is there a specific date for the execution for that?
Yeah, so towards the end of this year, we will be launching the campus, and we already have started all our, groundwork and setting up the the basics, and so it'll be towards the end of this year.
All right, and this is obviously with the body of the UN, United Nations, or is it a separate entity? How are you bringing these individuals that are working globally?
So I think the best person to answer would be Mr.
Ashan,
Ashan. Yeah.
So we work with multiple UN agencies and the international entities like Ban Ki-moon Foundation, United Nations SDG Action Campaign. Such entities are working globally. So we work together with them and co-create these programs. And what we want to do is we want to give that global exposure to young people who are coming into our innovation campus. So we will be featuring young people studying or fighting for climate change in Brazil, and they'll speak together. So we'll be co-working with these entities to design the Global Innovation Campus.
All right, wonderful. And for those that are actually watching and wants to be a part of it, how can they get in contact with you guys? What are the means of it? Or do you have to select them specifically?
So for G17, it's pretty competitive.
Right.
So we'll be having 50 universities across Sri Lanka for this year. So you need to somehow get into 17 slots so that you can be the face of sustainable development goals for your university for that year. But you can also work with the Road to Rights youth clubs in your university, or you can write to us, roadtorights.org website. So we will be responding to you so that you could get involved with the local or global programs that you can do. So
all right, wonderful.
It's open for everyone.
And are there any restrictions when it comes to private sector universities and government sector universities, or anyone's open for any university
It's
representation?
open for everyone.
Everyone.
And our idea is to bring everyone together and create that global space of change makers to co-create things.
And is there a specific age limitation, or can I be like 50 and still be a part of it?
So mainly it's 18 to 35.
18 to
so
35.
we want to tap young people at 20 to 35 young professionals, like intergenerational dialogue. But if you're about 35, you can still be a mentor and work with young people. So
all right.
yeah, that's the space.
Wonderful. So once again, Ashan, thank you so much for joining us today on the show as well. I think you've made quite an impact, with your ears of, really putting in commitment, really showcasing, hey, I'm going to conquer the youth. I'm going to conquer the resolutions that we need for the country as well and the world. So thank you very much for doing that, despite your age as well, at a very young age. So that is what, a true leader is when you consider being born as well to make the change. So once again, thank you very much. And thank you very much, all of you, for really, doing all of that change, contributing to this particular thing. But before we end and wrap things up on the show, I usually do something very small and ask you one thing, and we'll start from this corner, okay, because we spoke too much on this corner. We'll go to this side. One thing that you'd actually say for the youth members watching as well, one thing that they can actually resonate, especially with today's conversation, the one word.
Your potential makes a change in the world.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. And what's yours?
Every effort counts.
Every effort counts. All right. And what's yours?
If you want to do it, just do it.
If you want to do it, just do it. I like it. And
Believe in your inner potential regardless of where you come from, how you grew up.
all right. And what's yours?
Yeah, so don't wait until opportunities come and knock at your door. So you need to go behind opportunities.
All right, wonderful. And thank you very much. Once again, extra special thank you going to because, she's very sweetly, she said she declined. She's like, I'm not ready to do the show, but we pulled her in it somehow. But thank you very much, because it's a key pinnacle. People needed to hear what you had to say, because you were part of the growth as well for this. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. And in case you are wondering where we are located, it is actually at Barnsbury. Now, Barnsbury located at Barnes Place is exactly where we are. are. You can come by, definitely grab a cup of coffee. They've got cappuccinos, we're talking about mochas, lattes, you name it, they've got it all for you. So definitely come by and enjoy exactly what they've got for you. Once again, this is Bunsbury, located at the Buns Place. And in case you are definitely watching us, don't forget we can actually send across your feedback as well in many ways that we can actually improve our program on our email addresses on feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or wear WhatsApp line as well on 076 805 7933 are the numbers. But until then, this is a wrap on Gen XYZ. Don't forget, we'll be back with a different episode, counting and telling you exactly what you need to know, especially in being a change maker out there in the nation of Sri Lanka. Until then, have yourselves a beautiful evening.
I was so high, I did not recognize